Good day, ma'am, and good day, everyone. We are IC number 1, and today we are going to talk about one of the 4 pillars that was assigned to us, which is self-awareness. So, self-awareness means to order one's life. A lot of us grew in an environment where contemplating about oneself was just impermissible, in a way that you could be labeled as narcissist. We're not just used to doing that. Sitting and thinking on our inner self might have been regarded as self-absorption. But this kind of metric does not correlate when it comes to the spiritual matter. In fact, this is exactly what the spiritual life wants us to do. Knowing oneself means knowing how to utilize the things in one's hands. It could be knowing one's limitations and flaws, but still knowing how to circumnavigate them. One great example about this is the certain qualities of a leader. Leaders thrive by understanding who they are and what they value, by becoming aware of unhealthy blind spots or weaknesses that can derail them, and by cultivating the habit of continuous self-reflection and learning. Knowing your weaknesses allows you to understand how you can work around them. Strengths and weaknesses are part of being self-aware. When you know your strengths and weaknesses, you can create a development strategy that focuses on your specific development needs. Only a person who knows what he or she wants can pursue it energetically and inspire others to do so. Only those who have pinpointed their weaknesses can conquer them. These are just basic and obvious principles, but are rarely heeded in practice. Self-awareness is a potent feature of a leader because it is where everything starts. It is a person's guide to know everything around him. Just like John C. Maxwell said, a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. The early Jesuits invented an array of tools and practices to mold self-aware recruits. Cut off for a month from work, friends, news, and even casual conversation. Jesuit trainees dedicated all their energy to a searching self-assessment. Engaging in the spiritual exercises was the peak of developmental moment of a training regimen that encompassed everything from scut work to begging for food and lodging on a solitary distance pilgrimage. Recruits emerged from training knowing what they wanted in life, how to get it, and what weaknesses could trip them up. Every Jesuit in history, from the founders to the current Jesuits being formed in more than 100 countries, has participated during training in a month-long intense period of personal reflection called the spiritual exercises, during which he is removed completely from workplace, from reading papers, watching television, talking with friends, or anything that could deter the intense introspection that becomes their only job responsibility for 30 days. These guided meditations, which probably remain the most powerful retreat tool in the Christian world today, were St. Ignatius Loyola's very practical attempt to translate into a systematic approach the fruits of his own journey to religious understanding. As far as Jesuits are concerned, this is a spiritual and religious experience. But the self-assessment that is taking place makes these exercises a superb leadership bootcamp, where each Jesuit is making a considerable investment in pondering his strengths and weaknesses, his personal values, and his outlook on the world. Jesuits also learned during this period a wonderfully modern and easy-to-adapt tool for daily updating. For the rest of his life, after this month-long upfront investment, each Jesuit follows a daily regimen of 3 mental pit stops that in aggregate absorb as little as 20 minutes a day. First, upon waking up, remind yourself of what you have to be grateful for, and remind yourself of your goals, which might be a weakness you want to work on or an objective to achieve. Then, once in the middle of the workday and once at the end of the day, take a few minutes. Remind yourself of your blessings. Remind yourself of your goals. And mentally scroll through the last few hours to extract lessons learned from your performance. The Jesuits broke radically from existing custom by abandoning the monastic practice of gathering together in chapel multiple times daily in order to instead to pursue a much more activist lifestyle. Still, Ignatius had the incredibly modern insight that in the 21st century typically overlooked. He said that if you and I don't have the luxury of retreating to chapel multiple times daily like monks, we need to find some other ways of keeping ourselves focused and recollected as we bob along each day on a tide of emails, phone calls, and meetings without ever pulling back to take stock. The fallout from this chaotic lifestyle is the person who gets to the end of the day without ever getting to his or her number one priority, or the person who has a meeting to go badly at 8:30 and remains distracted about it all day, draining productivity. These are all self-awareness problems. Self-awareness is never a finished product. Granted, some guiding life values are usually adopted early on and thereafter remain non-negotiable, but our already complex world keeps changing. Leaders must keep changing as well. Every early Jesuit dedicated an intensively focused week each year to revitalizing his core commitment and assessing his performance during the previous year. Moreover, Jesuit self-awareness techniques accommodated change by instilling in recruits the habit of continuous learning of daily reflection on activities. These techniques remain relevant today precisely because they were designed to allow busy people to reflect on the run. Most religious prior to the Jesuits counted on the cloister walls to help them remain focused and recollected each day. But Loyola essentially tore down the monastery walls to immerse his Jesuits in the maelstrom of daily life. Once those walls came down, Jesuits had to employ techniques to remain recollected, while all hell was breaking loose around them, just as everyone else today. Centuries later, academic studies are finally catching up to Loyola's vision and are validating his emphasis on self-awareness. Though executives frequently rise through the ranks on the strength of their technical expertise, raw intelligence, and/or sheer ambition, these traits alone rarely translate into successful long-term leadership performance. Research increasingly suggests that IQ and technical skills are far less crucial to leadership success than is mature self-awareness. In other words, the hard evidence points to the critical soft skills that are encompassed by knowing oneself.